Welcome back to the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. Jay, what's going on, man?
What's happening, man?
So first of all, I want to say, thank you everybody that's joined so far. We got 24 people in the building. Just want to make sure that we're doing a mic check first. Mic check. Can you guys hear us well?
Mic check.
Give me a thumbs up in the comment section if you guys can hear us well. Perfect. Let's kick it off, man. So, Jay, last night we had a big fight. Frank Martin, Michel Rivera. We were both very excited about this fight. I want to jump into the results of the fight, and then I want to jump into a conversation that you and I had this morning, because I think it would be interesting to bring that conversation to the masses, right? So, we did a breakdown. Well, I don't know if they're going to love it. They may love what you say. They might not love what I say. So we did a fight breakdown on Michel Rivera versus Frank Martin. And one of the things that I mentioned was that everything that Michel Rivera did was predicated off the jab, and that Frank Martin was going to have to figure out a way to get around that jab or neutralize that jab. And if he was able to do that, then he should start finding success toward the later rounds. That was my thought. I thought Michel Rivera also had the ability to really move around and maybe keep Frank on the end of that stick. And we found out something completely different. In my mind, Michel Rivera had nothing after you took away his jab. And I was a little bit surprised about that. Like, I saw the fact that everything he did was predicated off that jab, but I thought he was going to be able to bring something else to the table. Once the jab was gone, he started trying to throw that one jab and then that straight right hand. In the middle rounds, I started seeing him trying to lead with the right hand. Frank was picking up on all of it. And then he started trying to slip and counter with the right hand. Literally, that's all he had. The announcers was mentioning the fact that he was not lead foot dominant, which also caused him some challenges. I was just surprised that once the jab was taken away from him, it wasn't there, man. What are your thoughts on what you saw out of Frank Martin and Michel Rivera? I was a little bit disappointed in Michel Rivera.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be the first to say I was wrong as far as saying a UD will only be won by Rivera, because Frank did the thing. I was disappointed as well as many other people were, because Rivera didn't have anything other than that jab. My only thing with Frank that we talked about last night watching the fight was when Frank backed off a step back, he kept his head on the straight line. That's when he got caught in the third round with the straight right from Rivera. That was my only worry about Frank. But he was spinning him. He was keeping that lead foot dominant. I mean, Frank was boxing. He actually showed that he has pretty good boxing. I want him catching with that uppercut. I kept screaming for the uppercut from Frank because I figured that uppercut would take Rivera out of there. He didn't catch him. But Frank looked good, man. He was very defensively responsible, because Rivera can crack a little bit from what we've seen in the past. But it was a damn good fight. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a great way to end the 2022, the way it went off. But that jab, outside of that jab, I just couldn't believe Rivera didn't have nothing else besides his jab. He didn't make any adjustments.
It was clear to me that his offense was predicated off the jab. But, man, I did not realize that he wasn't going to be able to do anything once that jab was gone. I mean, it was incredible to me. And the thing about it, you were a little bit more, and we always text during the fights. You were worried about, I felt like Frank was catching that right hand. He was leaning back or ducking it or whatever, and he was not connecting with that right hand. And that was the only weapon he had, so he wasn't varying up anything. So all Frank had to do was worry about that right hand. You're not going to catch a good fighter with one weapon. It's just not going to happen. And so I was disappointed in Rivera. He needs to go back to the drawing board. I think he lacks some skills because he doesn't know how to initiate his offense if that jab is not working. And there are going to be fighters out there that are good enough to take away the jab. And you got to be able to figure out different angles and ways to set traps. And he just wasn't able to do that at all. I mean, completely disappointed in that.
Yeah, I don't know what his corner prepped him on outside of that jab. I know he had a 3-inch reach advantage, but that can only take you for so far. You could hear Derek James, the trainer of the year, was coaching Frank throughout the whole fight. He was telling him, don't be lazy. keep your hand up, keep the jab, snap the jab. You know, he kept his head in the game for Frank, and kept giving him great guidance. I'm not sure what Rivera's team was doing to him. I don't know what they're telling him to do. I heard some of it, but it wasn't making any sense. They're saying, "Oh, you got to knock this guy out." How? You got to give him better instruction than that, because Rivera looked lost in the corner. You could see he looked he's sunken in the corner. He slouched over. He had no answers. And it was just amazing that he had no adjustments for it, because I thought he's a better fighter, but I think he's still a decent fighter. I just think Frank made him look a lot worse than what he was. You know, I can't give it all to him being a bad fighter, saying he's a bum. I think Frank is a better fighter than what most people thought he was too.
Yeah. So Gus T said in the comment section that he knew it was over when he saw that they were damn near the same height. And I think we mentioned that too, because you and I, we talked before we actually did the fight preview, and I was surprised that they were same height, because Frank fights with a very wide stance and it makes him look a lot smaller than what he really is. And even in the fight, he looks smaller than Rivera. I would say Rivera is probably still a little bit taller than Frank. But still, man, I mean, once I realized that they were closer in size than what I thought they were, I felt the same way. Gus TV4. I always like to see how guys measure up against each other, because not only does style make fights, but also size make fights. And people want to say it's just the skills, but some skills translate better based off of the size, right?
Oh, definitely.
So let me say this. Shout out to the Mic Check podcast. We got T Ward in the building. If you haven't had the opportunity yet, please go subscribe to the Mic Check podcast. That's basically a sister channel of AM Sports Media. Please subscribe. So I want to transition, Jason, into something that you and I were talking about earlier. I want to bring this to the subscribers, because I'm going to be interested in hearing what they say. Do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to kick it off? You want me to say it? I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want you to go ahead and kick it off so you can lose.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind losing. So I think I'm going to lose in this forum just because I know our subscribers. But so last night when Frank Martin was being interviewed and they asked him who he wanted, the first thing he started off with shh, and then he stopped and started going to all the other names in the division, Devin Haney and whoever else. It felt like he was about to say Shakur Stevenson, but he didn't. And I was waiting for him to bring up Shakur's name, and he never brought it up. He talked about Rolly, I think he might have talked about Tank as well. And it's like, he didn't mention Shakur's name. And I said, why is he not mentioning Shakur's name? He should be mentioning Shakur's name. I don't know. Maybe he might not want that smoke. And I'm going to pass it to you. Now, what was your response?
My response was this. He didn't say, he wasn't ducking Shakur to say his name. He's basically saying shit. I don't think he was saying shit. I don't think he was about to say shit. I think he was saying he was about to say Shakur. That's what I thought he was about to say. But then if it was just shit, then why didn't you say Shakur's name after that? Because Shakur hasn't done anything at 135. He's just getting to 135. Hasn't had a fight yet.
Neither has Rolly Romero.
Rolly was the one that was pitched up by Spence, though. Spence said he wanted Rolly early on this year.
Frank Martin has not accomplished anything at 135 pounds yet. He should be calling out all the biggest names at 135 pounds, regardless if they've been at the weight class for a while or not. You should be calling out their names, because that puts your name on the map. He didn't call out Shakur Stevenson. Why? He
didn't call Shakur out because Shakur does not bring value right now at the 135. Plus, he's on top rank.
No. Everybody brings value to Frank.
He didn't call out Keyshawn Davis neither. He didn't call out Keyshawn Davis.
Who is Frank for? But Frank, you comparing Keyshawn Davis to Shakur Stevenson? Man, stop it! Stop it!
Oh,
stop it! Stop it!
No, you're reaching, because he didn't say shh and then back off from saying Shakur. He said he was about to say shit. Team
6 text. I get you. He said all the top guys. Terence Crawford also said, hold up. Terence Crawford also said all the top guys. But we know that when you say all the top guys and you don't say a specific name, that's a way of just avoiding talking about a specific person. Of course, you're going to say, yeah, I want all the top guys.
No, there's a difference in that.
Hold on. Do you really think Terence Crawford wants all the top guys? No. He wants one specific top guy. What's the difference?
The difference is the top guy that Terence is not trying to call out, not calling at time, has a belt holder. He's unified.
So Marvin Banks said he didn't call out Shakur Stevenson because he's on top rank. Hey, listen, I don't buy that.
Thank you.
I told Jason, what I told you, I said I'm not gonna get the benefit of the doubt on this one. I know it because I know our subscribers, but I don't give a damn what none of y'all say. If Frank Martin, every fighter that comes in Frank Martin's purview or view, they are a legitimate fighter for him. He's not at the level to turn down anybody. So I would be wanting to smoke with everybody at that level, regardless of who he's on. It doesn't matter what he's on.
But the difference, what you're saying is you wouldn't turn down anything. So Shakur came up and said he wanted to fight Frank Martin. I don't think Frank would duck that. I think Frank would take that fight up front.
I don't think Terence Crawford, not Terence Crawford, Errol Spence. I don't think they'll take that fight right now. And listen, guys, I'm not saying that I believe that Frank Martin would necessarily duck Shakur Stevenson if it was presented to him at the right dollar amount. I'm not saying that.
You just want to call out Shakur.
But I do believe that if I ain't got to get in there right now, I'm not going to get in there right now. I think Shakur Stevenson at this point at 135 pounds, he is bad news for everybody. I don't want that smoke now if I can't get paid for it, if there is a substantial amount of reward for it.
Yeah, but the difference is I'm not saying who would win out of Shakur or Frank. I'm just simply talking about why Frank didn't call out Shakur. Shakur doesn't have a belt at 135. Tank has a belt, whether you want to call it a bubblegum belt, whatever. He has a belt, and he has a name at 135. He's been blasting people at 135. Devin Haney is the undisputed champion at 135.
I'm getting killed.
So those are two people he called out. Oh, you should be getting killed. It's easy work. All work is easy work.
Well, no. Because I'm pretty sure that there are people that would agree with me, maybe in other places. He should have called out his name too. And Jason, you know how I am. I don't give a damn. He should have called out everybody at the lightweight division with a name. If Frank Martin goes in there and knocks out or beats Shakur Stevenson, he automatically is in the top 2 or 3 in the division easily. So regardless of what promotional company he's with, I want that smoke because I'm trying to get Frank Martin is 27 years old. He don't have that much more time to wait. So I'm calling out everybody. I want everybody.
Greg, who did he call out? He called out people that had belts, right? And this was a title eliminator. Remember that. This was a title eliminator.
Fuck that.
This was a title eliminator. So you're reaching, man. You reaching.
Lover boy hater.
Like an 85 inch. You got 85 inch.
Listen, guys, hold on, guys. There's got to be somebody in the comment section that agrees with me.
Ain't nobody agreeing with you, man. Why?
Who agrees with me in the comment section? I mean, I'm not saying that if push came to shove, he would face him. I'm not saying that he wouldn't. But I think he purposely avoided saying his name.
But Greg, he called out the top dogs at 135. Who's the top dogs at 135?
Marvin Banks ain't feeling me. G.A. Peach ain't feeling me.
Right?
Deuce ain't feeling me. Buck 50 ain't feeling me. Rob say I'm tripping. Okay.
I told you. I told everybody, man.
Hey,
this was easy work, chat. Was this not easy work for us or what, man? Or not?
Oh man, shut up, man. You are.
And the thing is,
Tank Davis,
I like
man.
Shakur's one of the top fighters out there as far as his talent level. But just going by 135, if I'm Frank, I'm calling out I'm doing what Frank did. He called out Haney, who's undisputed. He called out Tank, who has a belt, and he called out Rolly because Spence had called out Rolly early on, and Rolly's at the fight, and they're all on PBC, except for Haney. So it's the easiest way to fight. And he's calling at top level. It's not like he's calling out, some bum, some scrub. He's calling the champions. Shakur's not a champion yet.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat this L right now. Because everybody in the chat say I'm tripping. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat this L right now. I felt that was. I think he was purposely. I still feel the way I feel. If you guys don't agree with me, I understand, but I still feel the way that I feel. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of this.
Wait, listen, Greg, hold on.
I don't want to talk about this. I'm losing.
Someone said
everybody in the comments.
You guys are biased.
I don't need any more of that. I don't need any
No, Greg, someone said we're biased, although you're on one side of the thought and I'm on a different side. How?
You guys are biased. Biased about what? I'm not sure.
Star Power, how? At least talking
Not
about the
like,
chat and myself going at Greg, killing Greg today on this little debate right here.
well, you're not. Well, I don't get killed. No, I don't get killed. I don't think anybody really disputed exactly. Hey, man, I'm done with this topic. Let's talk about something else. You guys are double. You guys are double, triple. I got 10, 20 people in the chat section. Y'all are all on top of me. I don't need this. All right. The last thing I want to say about this fight,
I tried to save you.
You ain't tried. Hey, man, I almost cut. Man, fuck you. I'm gonna say fuck you. So. Let's go ahead and the last thing I want to say about Frank is
I got love for your chat. Y'all know what's up.
I feel like Frank did a great job, regardless of what Rivera didn't bring to the ring. I think Frank showed that he was extremely dynamic. I think he is probably in the top, depending on who you're considering, still at 135 pounds. He's got to be in the top 3 to 5. Wouldn't you say, Jason?
Who is Frank?
Frank. I mean, I'm not considering Devin really anymore because I know Devin's moving up. I'm going to include Shakur, Tank, Devin, and then T.O.'s gone and Ryan is not in there anymore. So I'm going to say he's probably in the top 3 to 5, right? Wouldn't you say?
I'll say that, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, tremendous job. I'm becoming like I'm more and more, every time I see Derrick James, man, I'm more and more and more impressed with the guy. The work that he's done with Frank Martin, the work that he's done with Errol Spence. I mean, it's just those guys are so technically sound. It is ridiculous. And you got to attribute that to Derrick James. Now, not Jamel, not so much. But the other two, they are very, very technically sound and really, really, really good fighters. So, yeah. So let me pause here and say we got 85 people in the building. We got 48 likes. Please, if you can, hit the like button or the dislike button if that's what you choose, so that people can find this content. And also, make sure you subscribe to the Mic Check podcast. And also, we are brought to you by Rock Dog Interactive. They're the ones who are doing all of our graphics. So as you can see, our graphics are changing all the time. They're helping us out with that. So if you need any kind of graphic design or anything like that, please reach out to Rock Dog Interactive. All right.
Yeah. Now that 135, that's going to be interesting. Once Shakur gets his first fight at 135, because Shakur's been ducked by others. He's been ducked by Cambosos,
including Frank Martin.
Stop reaching. Stop reaching for Frank Martin, man.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Go ahead.
Hey, y'all know he really ain't joking. He's serious about that. He think Frank.
Ah, man, I'm joking. Stop.
Nah, but at 135, yeah, Frank's definitely top 5. I mean, just off the top of my head, Haney, Tank, Shakur, Frank, and I'll probably throw Cruz in there. Although Cruz's best thing is losing a Tank, a one-arm Tank. So and he's ducking Shakur. Now, if you want to say someone's ducking Shakur, it's Cruz, it's Cambosos, and Zepeda. So all 3 of those guys are ducking Shakur. But I want to see what Shakur does once he gets his feet wet at 135. We know he's not necessarily the hardest hitter. He got a small pop in his punches, but he's defensive. He makes people he beats people by breaking them down.
So let's pause it. Let's pause here because Tunnel Vision, I believe Tunnel Vision. What's up with you, man? Shout out to Tunnel Vision. He made a comment, and I believe he made the same comment on the actual video that we did. So he said, "You really can't say that they're ducking him. What are they offering these guys to face this top 10 pound for pound guy that's on Top Rank?" So he's basically kind of confirming what you said earlier about him being on Top Rank. And I get what you're saying for some fighters, but someone like Isaac Cruz, Isaac doesn't really Isaac isn't going to get any more money than against any other fighter. So to me, Isaac gets the opportunity to dethrone a guy that's a top 10 pound for pound. Zepeda similarly. Neither one of those guys are going to make much more money fighting, Shakur Stevenson or anybody else. So I disagree with you in that terms, Tunnel Vision. But I think when you start talking about Tank or you start talking about Devin Haney, I think your logic is sound there. I do agree with you in that regard. So it really depends on what fighter you're looking at in my mind. Jason, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, when I say duck, I say he's ducking. Cruz is ducking because it's smart business, honestly, for Cruz, because if he fights Shakur right now, gets beat by Shakur, he loses his chance to fight for a title.
Mm-hmm.
So Cruz is smart by just chilling, fighting someone else, and then he can get the title. Get a title fight instead of fighting Shakur. Shakur is a big risk, no reward right now for that. So I get the business side of it. Just me being a competitor, just wanting to fight the best and show my skill against the best. I want to fight the best. That's what I mean by Duck. It's not like he's just hiding scared like that. He's making a business decision. His team is. Now, what's the excuse for Zepeda?
Yeah,
and I get Kambosos just came off a battle, a double battle, two losses to Haney, and fighting Shakur would just be another version of Haney. I get that, but if all the shit that Kambosos talks, like he's number one, he wants to be best, be back in the top rankings, this is the best way to get a splash. He beat Shakur, he's back in the running again. But I know he won't, but it'll be good for him to try.
Nope, totally understand, man. I feel that as well. So Jay, so I think there's an opportunity to transition here. We were talking about Frank Martin.
Hold up, I agree. I agree with you with that. Shakur needs to get off the top rank. I agree 1,000% with you with that.
I won't disagree with that either. Top rank does
not
not know
stuff is an issue. So
top rank does not know how to promote African American fighters. And so in my opinion, there's no reason for any African American fighter to be associated with Top Rank. That's my opinion. That's how I feel about it.
Okay, great.
So I want to go ahead and make the transition to what Errol Spence said last night. And I kind of missed what he said because I had stepped away for a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to you on this one. He was up there he was being interviewed by BK. And so you tell me and everybody, what is it that Errol Spence said last night in regards to, number one, the Terence Crawford negotiations, and then number two, the potential for him to be back in the ring in 2023?
Well, about Terence Crawford negotiation, he said, "Damn it." He said basically he would have respected Bud more if Bud had told him, "Hey, I want to take this tune-up fight, get this easy money. It's an easy fight." He would have respected him more, but he didn't do that. He went out the back door on him. So he can't respect that. And then he's gonna try to blame Eric Spence and his side of the road. That wasn't what happened. He said he might be fighting he mentioned 3 months, April, May, or June. He did say he's still, suffering some effects from that accident. He's a little bruised up, banged up a little bit, nothing too major, but they still gotta take it with caution, especially after all the stuff he's been through. So we don't know who he's gonna fight just yet. Initially, he said before the accident happened, he was going to announce his fight within 3 days of the accident happening, which happened on the 10th. So he probably was going to announce it on like the 13th or 14th. I figured he was going to announce it this week, but now knowing more information that he's still dealing with the injuries suffered from the accident, it makes sense why it's going to be a little while before he makes his decision on who he's fighting next. Now it will be some gangster shit. He comes out and fights Crawford in May or June. No tune-up. Checkmate.
Yeah. So he also mentioned that he doesn't believe that Terence Crawford is going to be his next fight. I can't remember. I think it was on ES News where he mentioned that. So my thoughts on the situation is this. Errol, I like what he said about Terence Crawford, and I like what he brought to that interview. Basically saying, hey, listen, I don't begrudge any man for going to make the money. And if he felt like there was some money out there for him to make, the $10 million that he was supposedly going to make, I don't have a problem with that. We probably would have said, man, go ahead and go make your money. But the way that he went about doing it was the issue. And we have said this on multiple occasions on this channel, was that he was not negotiating in good faith. You cannot negotiate with both the PBC and BLK Prime at the same time. I think if he would have brought that to the table, because it was obvious that he wanted to have a fight before the end of the year, and that's okay. If he would have brought that to Al Heyman and the team and said, hey, we both need to have interim fights before we step into the ring with each other, because I need to get that work in, and also I want to get a check, I think everybody would have been on board with that. But instead, he came back to so number one, he was leaking a whole lot of information from ESPN. And I don't care what anybody says. The information that ESPN was getting was coming directly from Terence Crawford. He leaked all the information. And then he came out to everybody and basically said, oh, well, it was Errol Spence's fault. They did this. They didn't have a level of transparency, so forth and so on. And then also, and I know a lot of people may not agree with this, but I think the people in the chat will agree with this, that he put out a $10 million bogus number to try to justify the reason why he stepped away from the negotiations, instead of just basically saying, hey, man, I just chose to go and do something else. So I like the way that Spence approached it. I think it was the right way. He didn't go off on Terence Crawford or anything like that. He just said, "Hey, listen, I don't think that was the right thing to do." Now, as far as when he's going to get back into the ring, I'm wondering if the accident was, both good and bad. Does it give Spence justification for not getting into the ring in the next 2 or 3 months, which would then allow him to negotiate again with Terence Crawford in hopes of getting back into the ring with him in May or June? Because that's a long time before getting into the ring with Terence Crawford and then ultimately or having an interim fight and then ultimately getting into the ring with Terence Crawford in like Q3 or Q4 of 2023. So it may give him the opportunity to spin that block now, make that negotiations, get that fight signed and sealed and delivered. And the sanctioning bodies will not stop that fight from happening if they're able to make the fight next sometime in May or June. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I didn't think about him as far as Thurman. I was just thinking about more about him being healthy. I just want to see him fight healthy. You know what I'm saying? He was walking with a limp. People can't say he's faking this or faking that. Dude's been walking with a limp. You can see where he's walking the last few times they had interviews. So Friday, Saturday, I think Thursday, they had him interviewing, and you can see the way he was walking. You can tell something's off right there. He's been through some traumatic shit. So, I mean, he's going to need that time, that April, May, June window. He's going to need that time. And whether it's Thurman or it's Bud, I'd be good with either one because I know Spence don't do tune-up fights. Now the thing is, with Spence possibly not fighting until April, May, or June, is Thurman willing to wait all that time? Because Thurman hasn't fought since what, February of this year? So it'll be a little while.
Thurman, yeah, it's been a while. So Big T said, "Come on, man, keep it 100, man. You already know Terence Crawford is scary as hell. That motherfucker don't want to lose his fucking eyes or get his goddamn ribs broke."
Hey, Big T.
Big T, we've been trying to be more positive as it relates to Terence Crawford because we have so many people coming in and telling us that we're hating on Terence Crawford. And, oh, we are such bad people. I'm at the point now. So, Jay, me and you, we have been saying for a long time that we thought that both guys wanted to fight. I think we're both in the space of we don't believe Terence Crawford wants this fight like that. He wants to fight only if he's getting paid an outrageous amount of money, which also means he doesn't want to fight. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel about that.
Andre Jefferson, it's not a given that Crawford wins the fight with Spence. In tunnel vision, I mean, Andre Jefferson.
Crawford wins the fight, period. Yeah, that's nowhere near a given guy. I don't know where you're getting that from. As a matter of fact, I've become more bullish that Spence is going to win. Just based off of the last fight that I saw, Terence Crawford does not have the same lateral movement that he had when he came into the welterweight division. All you have to do is go look at the Jeff Horn fight. He had better lateral movement. His lateral movement has declined over the last few fights. I think sitting there and trying to do what he did against David Avanesian, he'll be a sitting duck for Errol Spence. I want to pause here real quick, Jay, and say, hey, we got 138 people in the building. We got 68 likes. If you could, please smash that like button. And if you don't like it, please smash the dislike button, but interact so that people can find the content. All right. What were you about to say, Jay? My fault.
No, you good. Now Stepping Chocolate Princess, she said, I think Errol Spence after this accident needs to take some time to make sure he's okay. I hate to see him fight if he's not at his full potential and hurt himself more. I agree 1,000% with that. I want to see Spence 100% from this. One thing you can't measure is the mental aspect of it. Because, I mean, he said he might have PTSD from driving before, from the prior accident. He mentioned on the previous statement. So, I mean, this shit's serious for him. I mean, the kid was stole his parents' car and hit him head on. So that's a lot to think about right there for you on that, any type of things for that. With Thurman, I mean, he'll be smart if he just wants to try to get his easiest shot at getting one belt, 3 belts, all 3 belts by fighting Spence in April, May, or June. But he's going to have another long layoff, and I think that layoff will hurt Thurman more than it hurt Spence. But if they fought in May or June.
So let me say this. So, so number one, Keith Thurman does not deserve this fight whatsoever. I've said that. I've said it over multiple weeks, months, whatever. He doesn't deserve this fight. But a lot of our subscribers, unlike the Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson situation, they have been able to convince me that this is probably a good fight for Errol Spence, that it will do very well, and that the pay-per-view sales and just the lead up to this fight would be tremendous, right? You got a history there. You got two guys that really don't like each other. Errol specifically does not like Keith Thurman.
He hates Thurman.
And Thurman, I think Thurman's style initially, until Errol Spence figured it out, which won't take too long, but it'll present some challenges towards Errol, and then initially when they start off the fight, but eventually Errol's going to walk him down and end up getting him out of there. But I think the fight could be exciting. I think the fight could be a great lead up. I think it also put Errol in a position from a pay-per-view perspective when he goes back to the negotiation table with Terence Crawford. I think even more so he's going to be in a better position to say, you're not going to get X, Y, Z. And we'll talk about the other reason why he'll be in a better position in a second. But it's a win-win for Errol. The only thing that's a drawback for Errol is really Errol doesn't want to fight the guy. He doesn't want to give the guy the opportunity because of what he did. So it's kind of how I feel about that.
Hey, B-Dog, I don't know if Thurman want to get another Riverside Rocky type fight because remember he got hurt in that fight too. So
he did.
He can. That's a big risk for Thurman. So if I'm Thurman, I'm gonna sit by and wait until April, May, or June. I'm gonna keep pushing to try to get my Mando against Spence.
Yep. So Jay, do you want to go ahead and make that transition now into BLK Prime and their pay-per-view numbers? You want to make that transition?
Yeah, I'm just reading what Andre Jefferson. Andre Jefferson, what skin in the game you got for Bud, man? Because you don't go with any logic when it comes to Spence. You're thinking it's all one-sided, bro. I mean,
nothing to make this fight. He's done nothing to make the fight.
Bud said out his own mouth that he agreed to everything from Spence's side, but then he didn't sign. So he didn't. What are you talking about? This type of shit that makes my head hurt. It makes no sense. None.
Yeah, I'm not tracking what the hell he's saying either. So let's talk about the pay-per-view numbers, man. So Jay, there's been reports out there, 2,500, I think 10,000. I think that's maybe a number that Eddie Hearn just kind of threw out there, and people kind of grabbed onto it. 15,000 pay-per-view buys. What are your thoughts on that, man? I'm going to give my thoughts on it, but I want to hear yours first. Do you believe the numbers that we're hearing out there, rumors? And guys, there's a reason why we have not done any videos on this, but I want to hear your thoughts on it, Jason. What are your thoughts on the rumors that it did 10, 15, 2,500, whatever pay-per-view buys?
I mean, those are shitty numbers. I mean, but the thing is, it's funny how BLK has put out there saying that they did better than what they initially thought, than what they projected. So it's like, but they don't let you know what they projected. So it's going to be a while before we get that real official number. I mean, people said 5K, people said 15K. Either way, both of those are shitty numbers. That's not how you're going to make a splash. Especially only paying Bud allegedly 10 million. Although I've seen reports it's a lot less than 10 million.
He ain't getting no damn 10 million.
I'm
willing to go on record to say that. He ain't getting no fucking $10 million. I'm willing to go on record to say that, period.
So, I mean,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, those numbers are just shitty numbers, man. The production was fine. The fights were trash. The undercard was trash. And they bill it like is a disservice to boxing fans in general, man. It's just bad. Who cares, right? And read about the 10 million.
I do.
That's a bad standard for boxing.
I do. The reason why I care about it is because why does he care about it? Why does he care about putting out a fake number? Obviously, there's a reason why he's putting out a fake number. So yeah, I care about it because I'm going to dispute a fake number. Obviously, it must mean something if he's doing it, period. So let me think. So let me.
Oh, also, real quick, Greg, real quick. Another reason,
Right.
if it's $10 million, if they didn't get enough pay-per-view buys, you think this company's going to be able to stay around?
No, it won't be around for very long.
They got to make the money. What when you make a business, start a business, yeah, you expect a loss, but not that type of loss of being that far in the red. Because how you going
Rock,
to get it back right now?
Rock, what's going on, man? Rock told me to prove that it's fake. It's very simple math, Rock. I don't have to have his contract in my face to know that his numbers doesn't make any sense. Like, just use common sense. So here are my thoughts on it, man. So we've heard 5,000 pay-per-view buys, 10,000, 15,000. To me, in my opinion, that's extremely low. I personally don't believe those numbers. I don't believe 5, 10, or $15,000, 15,000 pay-per-views. My thought is it did somewhere between maybe 40 to 50,000 pay-per-view buys would be my thought. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of Terence Crawford's track record. He did about 130,000 pay-per-view buys against Porter. Who was it against? His first one was against Postal, I believe, his first pay-per-view. And I think he did less than 100,000 pay-per-view buys with that. Being on an unknown platform, it makes sense that he did around 50,000 pay-per-view buys or something like that. To the point that you are making, Jason, doing better than your expectation is all relative, right? If you were planning to do one pay-per-view buy and you did two, you had 100% return on your pay-per-view buy. So clearly doing better than your expectation really doesn't mean a whole lot. There's been numbers that have been floated out there, 1 million, 2 million guaranteed purse for Terence Crawford. Those numbers do make sense based off of his projected pay-per-view buys. We never did a video on any of that stuff because none of it was validated. It didn't come from any reliable source. But that number does make more sense to guarantee him $1 or $2 million with a progressive back end. The more pay-per-views he sells, the more he gets. That makes a whole lot of sense to me. So if they did something like a million pay-per-view buy, or excuse me, $1 million guaranteed, and he did, let's call it 50,000 pay-per-views, well, that's about $2 million. So that could possibly be a successful pay-per-view for BLK Prime. But at $10 million, there's no way that they were profitable at all. I mean, they probably lost $7-8 million. So there's no reason for them to do that. That's not the way you make a splash in the game, by jumping in and losing money. So I don't believe that he got the $10 million. And I don't believe that he got, 5, 10, 15,000 pay-per-views. I'm thinking it was closer to around 50 would be my guess. Those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah, but also on that, it's like we understand startup businesses take a loss. How much losses can you sustain to maintain be around? How many losses do you have to take before you start becoming profitable? Because looking at their roster, they only have one fight on their roster. That's AB. Bud only signed one fight deal. So what, they're gonna pay Bud another 10 million? So if he made 10 million against David Avenesian, how much do you think he's going to make against Spence if they were to fight on BLK Prime?
He'd have to make 20, and Spence would have to be at like 50.
Yeah. So the number, it messes up the numbers for that. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. Again, guys, it's common sense. And people want to say that we're hating on Terence Crawford and we hate ourselves, and we'll get to that next, Jason.
Please.
But we're not hating. The numbers don't make sense. And people come in with ridiculous logic in terms of, it could be some rich guy that wants a write-off. That's not how rich people do their write-offs, guys. I work as a CPA, let me back up. I am a CPA. I don't necessarily work as one. I actually work in corporate finance. But that's not how rich people get write-offs, because a write-off, you don't get that much of a tax break from a business write-off. Let's start there. So this whole notion that somebody's doing this for just a write-off doesn't make any sense to me. So at the end of the day, the logic doesn't make any sense. And that's the reason why we're questioning everything that we hear from Terence Crawford. I think the $10 million was a way to save face and to explain why he walked away from negotiations with Errol Spence. And that $10 million really doesn't exist. That's my opinion on it. I don't think that's something that really occurred. Is it possible that the BLK Prime event was successful? Sure, but it wasn't successful at $10 million. There's no way in hell. So we're not hating on Terence Crawford, but just using back napkin math. And I'm a pro at using back napkin math. We do it all the time at my job, and my boss is even better than me. But at the end of the day, you can get relatively close to a number, directionally close or correct to a number by doing back napkin math. And my back napkin math tells me no way in hell they paid him $10 million.
Yeah, I agree, man.
So let me pause here real quick.
That's just for Bud, 10 million. They still got to pay the other fighters on the card.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
I mean, it's beyond that.
Hold on. Rockman, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. A guarantee is solely focused on what you're going to. Dude, what are you talking about? So you're telling me that a businessman is just giving a fighter a guarantee, not basing it on the pay-per-view? The pay-per-view is how he's going to make his fucking money. What are you talking about? Like, that makes absolutely no damn sense at all. What are you talking about? They don't consider pay-per-view numbers when they're giving a fighter a guarantee? Oh my God. I'm sorry. I can't even. Rock, come on, man. Rock, you got better arguments than that, Rock. Stop, bro. Hey, we got 188 people in the building right now. We got 95 likes. If you could, please smash that like button. It helps others find this content. And if you don't like it, please smash the dislike button. We're fine with that too. All right, man. Anything else we want to cover on these pay-per-view numbers?
That's messed up. Detroit raised me. He said they gave Cyborg his money. Why I got?
Oh, that's fucked up. That's real fucked up. All right, man. Jay, anything else you want to cover on the pay-per-view numbers?
Nah, because I want to wait till more information comes out. Once all the information come out, then we'll be able to go more in depth into it.
Rockman, hold up. Rock, there's a reason why he's not on Top Rank anymore. There's a reason why Bob Arum was basically saying that he could have built a mansion on all the money that he's lost on Terence Crawford. There's a reason for that, my brother. That's the reason why he's no longer on Top Rank. Let's start with the madness, bro. Let's start with the madness. So let's trade. What's the other topic we wanted? Oh, Blueblood Sports TV. So, Jay, do you want to kick this one off, or do you want me to kick it off?
You can kick it off. I gotta save my energy for this one.
So, Blueblood Sports TV did multiple videos talking about anybody that basically does not agree with Terence Crawford, who questioned the pay-per-view numbers, who questioned the amount of money that he got. We all must be self-hating. We hate ourselves. That makes absolutely no sense to me. You're talking about a lot of people who have common sense, who are not blinded by fandom. I'm not blinded by my fandom. You guys have heard me on here before. We've called out Errol Spence. I'm a huge fan of Errol Spence. I support everything that Errol Spence does. I support his fighter, Frank Martin. I just called out Frank Martin because I thought that he purposely did not mention Shakur Stevenson. That's not what we do on here. If something doesn't make sense to us, we look at it the way that we feel like we should be looking at it, which is this. If something does not pass the smell test, we're going to call it out. We're going to question it. That's just what it is. So I don't dislike Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford seems to be a great husband, a great dad. I'm going to use the Stephen A thing. I got to give all the praise first. I got to preface it with praise. I don't have a problem with Terence Crawford, but the way that Terence Crawford moves has been questionable. All the negotiating with two different entities is an issue. Saying that you are making $10 million to try to justify walking away from the Errol Spence negotiation is an issue, specifically when you've never sold enough pay-per-views to even think, for anybody to even remotely think that makes sense. Those are the things, the constant contradictions when you can hear him contradicting himself. 1 minute he's saying that there's no side of the street as it relates to Errol Spence. He should have already had the fight. But then in another breath, he's saying that Boots Ennis is on the other side of the street. So that's the reason why he hasn't fought him. Which one is it? Does the other side of the street exist or does it? Does it not? So when we call those things out, we're labeled haters. I have an issue with that. And Blue Blood specifically, he has a conflict of interest. He is working with BLK Prime. It's in his best interest to bolster Terence Crawford. And shout out to I think his name is the manager, Marty the manager. He did a video where he kind of went through and pulled in some different videos on Blue Blood. We didn't do that because we don't really watch Blue Blood like that. So I can't go and pinpoint what Blue Blood has said when and where. But at the end of the day, he's flipped the script. It's because he has a conflict of interest with BLK Prime. So if he was smart, if you want to do that, then do it, man. But if you're smart and you have that platform, don't fucking comment on anything related to something that you clearly have a conflict of interest. It is fucking dumb. So that's what I don't respect that shit. And I'm not saying I don't respect Blue Blood because I respect any and all men, but I don't respect that shit. That's weak shit, and I don't want to hear that shit.
I'm laughing at Rodney. So now we're hating on Blue because black people are not monolithic. So the fact that we don't agree with but BLK Prime means that we hate black people. Houseway.
Last time I checked, my mama was black, my daddy was black, my kids were black, my wife is black. So my whole family is black, so I hate black folks.
But not
Jason,
get this though.
You black and you not related to me. Well, let me pause because I hate your motherfucking guts. So you're not a good example. But still, I love black folks.
So but get this though. If he says if we're hating on Bud and BLK Prime, we hate black people, right? But if he's doing the same thing to Al Heyman, PBC, and Spence, are they not black?
Exactly. What about all the things that Team Crawford has said about Errol Spence as it relates to the crash, as it relates to being a drunk, as it relates to drinking yak? You must still be back on that yak. Did he make those same comments relative? So does all the fans that go into the comment section and make those comments about Errol Spence being a drunk, do they also hate themselves? Well, maybe they do because they're talking about something personal. Not one time. That's the only thing. That's the other thing I want to point out, Jason. Not one time have we said anything personal about Terence Crawford. Name one instance that we said anything personal about Terence Crawford. Everything that we say is related to boxing or the business of boxing. We don't hate on Terence Crawford. We don't talk about Terence Crawford's wife, his kids, the way he lives his life. Personally, I don't give a shit how he lives his life. Everything that we say is about boxing. So all this self-hate shit, man, Blue Blood, that shit is weak as fuck. Weak as fuck.
It's like, if we were hating on Bud, we would say Bud's not a pound for pound fighter. We were hating on Bud, we would say Bud is just lucky. We've never said that. We've always given Bud his respects in the ring. We just don't like his business acumen, his business dealings. That's the one thing we've always hated. We just want to see the best fight the best. With the way Bud has moved, if he wants to line his pockets, go right ahead. I have no problem with Bud lining his pockets. Get the money, my man. But don't line your pockets and say you want to be fighting the best. Because he said so many different things. One minute he said he doesn't need this fight for legacy. Then all of a sudden he said he needs a fight. Next minute he said he doesn't want Spence. Then he does say he wants Spence. Then after his last fight, he didn't mention Spence at all. So come
look
on.
At Brenda. Look at Brenda. Guy can't go to the store without crashing. So Brenda, do you hate yourself? Because that comment has nothing to do with Errol Spence, the fighter. Do you hate yourself? And I'm not saying that you do. I don't think you do. But I'm saying you're making that comment. Does that mean you hate yourself? I mean, just because we don't support what Terence Crawford says and doesn't mean we don't support him as an African American. I support Terence Crawford as an African American, but from a boxing, when I look at it through a boxing lens, I don't support what he says and do. because what he says and doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. That's how I see it.
Yeah, not only that, but oh man, we use Bud on words against him. Bud is a hypocrite when the way he's been saying things about the dealings with with Spence. He's going all over the place. He said all this. Not us. The stuff that we report on and talk about, these are all coming from his own words, not ours. So we don't. That's him. We're using his words against him. That's exactly it. We're not making shit up.
That's exactly right. Hey, we got 243 people in the building right now. We got 132 likes. If you could, please smash that like button or the dislike button, whichever one you care for. But make sure you do one. So it helps people find this content when we do it. Yeah, man. Blueblood, my boy has to stop making comments in reference to anything that's related to BLK Prime or Terence Crawford right now. You won't hear us ever. If we are aligned to something, we can't bring it up on our show. If we are affiliated with some fighter financially, we cannot bring it up on our show. We simply can't do that because you lose integrity when you do that. People do not trust what you're saying when you do that. What we say is what we mean. We're not bought. We're not paid by anybody. You got to be that way as well, Blue Blood. I don't have any ill will or feelings towards you. I don't know you. But this is just some advice from me as it relates to BLK Prime, as it relates to Terence Crawford. You need to fall back. You cannot comment on something that you are connected to. That should be common sense to you, my brother. Stop doing that, because anytime you do that, you're going to have people like Marty, the manager. You're going to have people like Greg from the Angry Man podcast. You're going to have people like Jason from the Angry Man podcast. You're going to have people like Marlo from the Real Marlo TV. You're going to have people like Showboating. They're going to come at you because what you're saying doesn't make sense. And to be honest with you, when you look at the smaller YouTube channels, they are the ones that are spitting that fact right now because they're not affiliated with anybody's dollars. And to be quite honest, you should never be affiliated with anybody's dollars that are actually connected to what it is that you're reporting on. Not to say that we're the media, but you just lose credibility, man. And that's how I feel about it.
Yes. And Rodney Reed, if you're cool with Bud just beating people up, fighting people like bums, like Avocado, that's cool. Go right there and pay for it. I want a higher quality of boxing. I want to see the best fight the best. That's not the best fighting the best. If you cool with that and you want to stack it, he want to pad his record, go right ahead. That's cool.
Yeah, I like Rock, man. Rock can create a way to justify anything. So this is I almost consider this a way of gaslighting when you don't actually have the only way that Rock will say that you're right is if you literally have a contract in your hand. But when you think about it, all you have to do is use your common sense. Rock is the type of person where I would say he probably blindly votes for a Democrat or a Republican. Anybody can run any game on him because he is so locked in on something specific that he doesn't actually listen to the facts that are being put in front of him. And you don't have to be in the room. That's what they call intuition. You know, I was talking about Myers-Briggs in one of our videos. That's the N in Myers-Briggs, intuition, the ability to look at patterns and come to the outcome just by seeing the patterns. You don't actually have to feel, touch, sense something. Rock, please work on your intuition, because if you do, you will figure out that what Terence Crawford is saying does not make any sense. So, hey man, what else do we got, Jay? What else do you want to talk about, man?
Let's see what else we had. So we already talked about the 1/3. We thought, so going back to Frank Martin, I was in a couple other boxing groups and they're talking about since you mentioned he didn't say Shakur, they say he didn't say Keyshawn Davis. I laughed at that comment. Keyshawn Davis is a prospect. He's not even a contender yet. He has no need to call out a contender. I mean, a prospect. He needs to call out contender. He's calling out the champs, like I said earlier. So I mean, Keyshawn Davis is not there yet. He even said himself, he's a prospect. He's still work. He wants a better fight. He's not that much. He wants to get better, but he's not there yet.
David,
yeah, top ranked fighters too.
Detective Lopez said we're trying to bring down black men. I guess we are we are the scum of the earth.
Oh man. So all right, so wait a minute. Has Detective Lopez, have you said anything disparaging about Spence or Al Heyman or PBC fighters? Because if you sure you're bringing down black people.
I'm sure he has. And maybe Detective Lopez is an Afro Latino. I don't know. But it's interesting that he's commenting on the plight of black folks, that we're trying to take down other black folks. That's interesting. Very interesting.
Man, because if we want to take down Bud, we would say Bud should never fight again. Don't support. We never said anything like that.
We never came on our channel mentioning anything about not supporting Bud Crawford. As a matter of fact, the videos that we did probably gave him more promotion than he did for himself.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. Old school.
So that we're not telling Bud, we're not trying to impact Bud Crawford's bottom line. We're not trying to impact his dollars, but what we are doing is holding him accountable. And so if you're saying that we're trying to take down another black man because we're holding a black man accountable, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in, because we are the same color, you shouldn't hold me accountable. Anybody in our comment section right now, anybody that's tuning in right now, if we're doing something that is out of line, if we're doing something that doesn't make sense to you, then you should hold us accountable. If we're doing what Blueblood Sports TV is currently doing, if we were to go and sign a contract with the PBC right now to promote PBC fighters, you guys should take everything that we say with a grain of salt.
Porter had
every single thing.
Game, man. We already talked about Porter. Porter had one game. Who's
talking about Porter?
Right in the ring, he said Bud been dominating his whole career. I guess Porter was a bum. Porter was
we've gone through his record at 147 pounds. I don't have it right here in front of me, but who all is he fought? He fought
Mean Machine was his best fighter.
Mean Machine. Mean Machine was
147.
And then I give him some credit for Porter, but Porter had one foot out the door. Everybody else has been trash. So let's not act like this guy is just fighting some of the elite at the division. My issue started with Bud Crawford when he re-signed with Top Rank. My question was, why are you doing that? Exactly. It's clear that you have all of the best competition over at the PBC. I'm not saying sign with the PBC, but there is an opportunity for you to go and become a free agent so you could take on the biggest and baddest in the division. And you chose not to. What you did was you allowed for Errol Spence to stay over there with the PBC, for him to take on all the biggest and the baddest, unify the titles, and then all you have to do is come in and try to win with one fight. And I think that's still what's going to end up happening, right? Because Errol is being backed into a corner in the sense that the way that all of this is going to end up playing out right now, I think Ortiz is number 1 in the WBO, and I believe Boots Ennis is number 2. If Boots wins the interim IBF title, he's going to become the mandatory for Spence. So that will move him out of the WBO rankings. If Ortiz wins against Stanionis, he will also get moved out of the WBO rankings. So guess who's left? There's nothing but bums left for him to fight from a WBO perspective. And everybody will be aligned to fight Errol Spence. So no good deed goes unpunished as it relates to Errol Spence by going into the division and unifying the titles. I have a major fucking issue with that. Bud Crawford needs to be forced to fight some damn body. I have an issue with that.
Exactly. So what else we had on the docket?
Do you want to transition? So first I want to say we got 276 people in the building. We got 158 likes. Please, if you get an opportunity, guys, smash the like button. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the Mic Check podcast. T Ward is in the building. That's like a sister channel to this channel right here. So we follow him. He's on our channel. We're on his channel. Please subscribe to his channel as well. Hit the like button and subscribe. What were you about to say?
No, I was checking the doc and see what we have on now.
I know we talked about, what else did we talk about this week, bro?
Hey, y'all want to see the resume? Check out what Jonesy baby. He just put Bud's last 147. Benavidez, one leg. Amir Khan, past his prime and chinny as hell, and he didn't knock him out.
Yeah,
Mean Machine, exactly. Kill, washed up. Joe Horn, come on, it's Joe Horn. Porter was over the hill. We still gave him some credit for fighting Porter. So I mean,
Yeah, we gave him credit for fighting Porter. We gave him credit for fighting Mean Machine. And even your boy Blueblood was raking him over the coals for who he was fighting. He was not fighting the best in the division. Period.
So
When you fight the best in the division, you get wear and tear in your body. Errol Spence is going through 2 crashes and an eye surgery, and is going through all the elite at welterweight. The only elite fighter that he hasn't fought the only elite fighters that he hasn't fought at welterweight are the young guns. But anybody in and around his age that came in the game at the same time, he's fought all those guys. The only person left is Keith Thurman, and I think we all believe he's going to beat Keith Thurman.
Good point, T. Spence and Bud have the same number of fights since 2018. Check who each of them have fought since 2018.
And I guarantee you, anybody that's on Spence's resume currently will beat anybody on Terence Crawford's resume. And I'm not knocking Crawford. He's a good fighter. He passes the eye test. But, man, it's really hard to know how good Crawford is because he's in there with David Avanesian. He's in there with Jeff Horn. He's in there with a washed-up Amir Khan or an old Kell Brook. It's hard to know how good he is. I don't know how good Terence Crawford is. And even at 140, 135, who did he beat? Postal? Gamboa, who was small? Who has he beat? It's hard to know how good he is. He may be really good, but I don't know how good. Jason, do you know how good Terence Crawford is? Because I don't know. Do you know?
I mean, it's just crazy because it's like they're trying to big up Bud's resume and then shit on Spencer's resume. Now,
Ricky
looking
Burns.
at the eye test, no, Rico was he's clouded. No, now looking at eye test, we always gave Bud his props. We always say he's a top pound for pound fighter, top 2. Him and Spence. The way we look at it, we want to see them fight each other. We don't want to see Bud pivot and fight David Avanesian. We don't want to see that. Don't want to see that. I would now put it like this. If Spence had backed out of the deal and fought David Avanesian, he'll be getting the same heat.
Oh, he'd be getting killed. We be killing Spence. We be killing his ass right now. We be killing him. People would hate us on the channel. We be killing him. You cannot do that.
So, I mean, if you want to compare the resumes, Ugas, Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia washes anyone that Bud fought at 135.
Facts. There's nobody on Bud's resume right now that we believe is an elite fighter. What were you about to say? Some of you laughing at?
No, Ugas, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, which they both fought. So I mean, we gotta stop, man. We gotta stop.
Yeah, we gotta stop with the stuff that's clearly just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you are a Terence Crawford supporter, man, it's number one, welcome to the channel. We like everybody on this channel.
What up, Brian?
You are free to come in here and say whatever it is that you want to say, whether you think we make sense or not, whether you think we're dumb, we're not smart, we're this, we're that. Doesn't really matter to us. We got really thick skin. What we welcome is the conversation. So please come in. But what we got to do is get away from the fandom where we just justify things that don't make any sense at all. I love Brenda. Brenda's one of the people that's been on our channel for a long time. Shout out to Brenda. Brenda and I, we mostly agree other than with Terence Crawford. But I've never heard Brenda criticize Terence Crawford. I've never heard Lolita criticize Terence Crawford.
They won't.
I've never heard Rock, my boy Rock, who's in the building right now. I've never heard him criticize Terence Crawford. But you've heard us criticize Errol Spence. You've heard me just criticize Frank Martin, who's associated with Errol Spence. We don't bias towards anybody. We just try to call what we see. That doesn't mean that we're right, but we don't. Guys, you got to get out of the fandom. Get out of the fandom and use your logic. Use your brain. Guys, we got 285 people in the building. We got 176 likes. That's I find it hard to believe, man, that there's 110 people that just dislike. So if you're in here and you like it, please hit the like button and let other people find this content, man. It really helps other folks find this content. What else we got on the docket, man? Is there anything else that relates to Errol Spence, Terence Crawford?
Letitia,
What you
hold up.
laughing
She's
about, Jay?
saying that Letitia, she's talking about we are supporters of many boxers. What we object to is you're continuing putting down a one boxer whose crimes are not nearly as bad as Spence, etc.
What are Lolita? What are Spence's crimes? What is
I
his
guess the
crime?
drunk
I
driving.
don't get it. The what?
And again, we're not talking about. I haven't said anything about Bud's personal life. From all the times. I
We don't
mean, I
talk about these
follow
guys'
Bud.
personal life.
I like what he does. When I see him and Spence, I like what they do as far as family, man. They're great family about all accounts. What I've seen, and I appreciate that because Bud got he got like 4 kids. Spence got 3 kids, and they're doing the damn thing. I love to see that.
See, this is what I'm talking about right here, Lolita. This is what I'm sorry, man. This is what I'm talking about right here. Woman beater. He's a woman abuser. Since when is Errol Spence a woman abuser? Number one. Number two.
She's talking about that skit.
Why do we care about what Errol Spence does outside of the ring? And I don't condone anybody putting their hands on women, but I don't believe that to be the case. You're talking about things, lawbreaker. You're talking about things that have nothing to do with boxing. We're not talking about Terence Crawford's personal life. We're not trying to find it. I'm pretty sure if somebody did some investigation, they would find some dirt on Terence Crawford that he has in his personal life too. We don't care about Terence Crawford's personal life. Jay, do you care about his personal life? I don't give a shit about his personal life. We don't talk about Terence Crawford's personal life. We don't talk about Errol Spence's personal life. We don't talk about any boxer's personal life. So why are you? Man, that shit. Hey man, that's just I find the character of a boxer representing the fans. Lolita, I can't.
Oh man,
I just can't.
Oh man,
I just can't.
I just can't.
I want to throw this out there to the guy, to everybody that's in the chat. So, do you guys believe possibly that because Errol Spence had this accident recently and he's not going to be able to return to the ring right now, will that give him the opportunity to go ahead and spin the block, both himself and the PBC, the opportunity to spin the block and get back to negotiating with Terence Crawford here? Is it more possible? Do you guys believe it's more possible or that it's a higher probability that he'll go back to the drawing board with Terence Crawford and try to make that fight before getting that Keith Thurman fight? What are your thoughts on that? I'm curious to hear what the people in the comments section have to say about that.
That's a good point, Marcus, the villain. He said, Bud robbed his mechanic. We don't want to mention that about Bud because it's irrelevant. Yeah.
Bud robbed his mechanic.
Yeah. It happened, I want to say maybe like 2015, 2016, something like that. But I'm like, that's neither.
I had never heard about that.
Yeah, I had never heard about that. That's 2 years back. But I mean, like, that's why, because that's not relevant.
It's not relevant. I'm not talking about Bud and his personal life, man. I think that's weak as fuck to attack any person about their personal life. Excuse my language, Letitia, if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, but I don't think you go into fighters' personal lives. I don't think you go into any athlete's personal life. That is not what we do here. So we don't care about that. William Old School said, I think Spence is fed up with trying to make a fight when his opponent wants no part of the fight. I definitely think everybody there is probably going to be fed up in regards to Terence Crawford and that negotiation. I mean, let me pose this question then, Jay. Let's say and pose this question to everybody in the chat. Let's say Errol Spence decides to go ahead and fight Keith Thurman. I think there's potential for that fight to do 300,000 pay-per-view buys. So let me get my trusty calculator out here. So I'm just going to call it $99, 300,000 pay-per-view buys. You're talking about $30 million of revenue, which Spence would get a significant portion of that.
That fight is sell too.
With what occurred with BLK Prime, and I'm going to use the 50,000 pay-per-view. Is Terence Crawford in a better position in terms of negotiating with Errol Spence now versus prior to the fight? I feel like he's actually in a worse negotiating position. But what are your thoughts? And people in the chat, what are you guys' thoughts on that? I think he's in a worse spot.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And like we said earlier, we don't believe Thurman is deserving of this fight with Spence or Bud.
No, he doesn't deserve it. But he's gonna sell.
He's gonna sell because Thurman has a mouthpiece. He'll sell the hell out of that fight. You know, I can tell you one thing: Spence versus Thurman is a better fight than Bud versus Avenesian.
Well, that's a far better fight. I mean, there's no question. It's no need to even discuss that. That's a far better fight.
I mean,
Crawford,
I'll put David Avenesian on the line with Collazo. Who else?
I agree with you, Ray Jackson. It hurt his stock. It definitely hurt his stock.
Stock.
Absolutely. Bud got his money in the bank already. I agree, Kevin Lyles. It just wasn't $10 million.
You know, whether Bud got 10 million, 5 million, 7 million, he sets the standard as far as it makes it hard to make dealings now for a fight of that magnitude, fighting someone like David Avenesian. So
check out, I'll go ahead and let you read that. Check out what T Ward said in the comment section.
Okay, so why did Bud not accept the December date PBC offered? Good question.
I have no idea why he didn't accept that. And I know people are going to say he wanted to get a fight, but if they posed it in December, then he would have gotten the opportunity to fight before the end of the year. So there's a number of things that have been floated out there we haven't really commented on. Like one thing is that there was a $15 million guarantee that he was asking for, and I think they offered him 10 or something like that. Now, the reason why I've never talked about that is because I don't know how you get from a $10 million guarantee to no guarantee. So, and I can't walk that in my mind, and that's the reason why I never commented on it, because it doesn't really track with me.
Yeah. At this point, both fights should just move on.
Oh, come on, man. I think Spence should move up to 154 pounds. He said
Brian
for
Mitchell
the right dollar, he'll fight anybody.
Brian Mitchell says Keith Thurman will beat Spence.
Well, any fighter got a chance. I think the probability of that happening is low, but he got a chance.
Yeah.
Just like David Avenesian had a chance. If somebody would have shot him out of a rocket with his right hand out and shot him directly toward Bud, then I think he would have had a chance to win. But outside of that, he wasn't going to win. What else we got? Look, Bud only went into negotiations to keep his fans happy. Yeah, probably. I don't disagree with that. I think a lot of things that Bud Crawford is currently doing is to save face. The $10 million was to save face. I think all the comments afterwards was to save face. He's trying to save face because the negotiations went so poorly. I'm still of the mindset that this fight is not going to happen. I think there's probably a 20% chance that this fight is going to happen. And I don't see Bud was not very enthusiastic after the David Avenesian fight about this fight, which makes me think that he's not really he's really not keen on going back into negotiations. And then with Spence, with everything that's going on with him currently, man, I think there's a high probability that he may not be all that interested in going back into the fight with. Now, I know he said that he still wants to make that fight, and I do believe that that's the fight that he really wants. But at the same time, man, going through that negotiation process over again, boy, that's rough. That is rough. And I don't know if that's something he's going to want to do.
I just don't think the fight's going to happen now. Because, I mean, especially, let's say, like I said, let's say Spence fights Thurman in April, May, or June, depending on when he comes back and heals up from his injuries. He beats Thurman. That's going to increase his stock based on the last fight each one of them has had. Now, he beats Thurman. That's a better fight than Bud beating Avenesian. Regardless if it's a highlight reel knockout or not, it's David Avenesian. He's not on the same level as Thurman, Boots, Stanionis, any of those guys. Not even Connor Benton. Steroids are not. So that's going to kill the negotiation side for Bud. Bud's going to have less leverage than he had if he had any prior. So that fight's not going to happen. I'm to the point. I want to try to save face and hope that this fight would happen sometime. You know, remember I was one out saying it was going to happen this year. Up until Bud did the backdoor deal with David Avenesian and BLK Prime. He yanked David Avenesian out of a fight that he had scheduled in November to fight him in December.
Exactly.
So, I mean, as Spence said yesterday, you know, he didn't like the way Bud went about it. If Bud came to him and said, I got this easy fight to make some money, Spence told him, I would have told him, go get your bread. But he didn't go that way. So
Letitia, I hope I'm saying it correctly. Forgive me, Letitia, if I'm not. She said, yes, even though Eddie Hearn said that the funds were good on TV interview. Okay, so you're going with that, right? So then are you also then saying that Eddie Hearns were right saying that they were only going to sell 10,000 pay-per-views? Because that's what he said too on TV.
Yeah, Eddie said 10,000 views, yeah. But he didn't say
Yeah,
about
10,000 pay-per-views. Yeah. No. But I'm using that as an example because I guarantee you that, let's say he did say that. I guarantee you she'll say that that's correct. But the whole part about selling 10,000 pay-per-view buys, that's all they'll do. She'll say that that's incorrect. That's the problem that I have. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the point that I'm making.
Yeah, JV. I mean, I agree. I mean, fighting Boots is risky for both fighters, Bud and Spence. Boots is a young, hungry guy. You know, he's a hell of a fighter. That's a risk that for Spence and Bud, that'll be ultimate. You know, that's if you want to chase legacy at 147 with big risk, low reward, pretty much. Because the only thing you're gonna get out of that is your legacy. You're not gonna get, you know, anything else because you already have the belts. Bud and Spence have the belts, so that'd be an interesting fight, though.
Let me do this. We got 299 people in the building. That means 102 people have not hit the like button. Please smash that like button if you could. Get us up to the 299 so other people can find this content. If you haven't had the opportunity, please smash the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of content on our channel, breakdowns of fights. We have all types of videos that we do and all that. So please subscribe. Go ahead.
So Greg in chat, who's next on Bud for Bud to fight? Let's throw Spence out the window. What's next? What's next for Bud to fight?
Go look at the WBO. Who's the number 3 ranked contender right now, guys, in the WBO? That's who he's going to end up fighting. That's who's going to be on the docket for him to fight if he doesn't fight Spence. Do we know who that person is, Jay? Do you have that person up right now?
I do not.
T Ward, who's the number 3 ranked person in the WBO right now?
CeeLo, don't say Adrien Broner, man.
He'll try to fight Adrien Broner, but I don't think he'll be able to get it.
Oh man,
Rocha or Crawley. That's who he's going to eat.
Crawley was the one that got the Canadian that got beat by Boots, if I'm not mistaken. So Crawley is not up to snuff. You know, my thinking is Blair Cobbs.
Oh, come on, man. So Jay, we posed this. We did a video on this. This was earlier in the week. We talked about the top welterweights, and who we thought would end up being the top welterweight. So I want to also pose this to the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, my bad. I was replying to T. He corrected me on Crawley. It was Clayton that was the Canadian that Boots fought.
Oh, gotcha. So so who do you guys ultimately feel is gonna? How is this gonna play out? Because, and this is where I'm going down, Jay. I think Errol's going to end up fighting Keith Thurman. So he's going to satisfy a mandatory. He will not have the opportunity to fight Terence Crawford because they're not going to be able to come to terms. And I think Terence Crawford is going to smartly try to play this in a way that they never come to terms because at the end of the day, it favors him. So what I end up, I think, going to happen is then Boots is going to become the IBF mandatory, which he hasn't satisfied that mandatory in a long time. So more than likely he'll end up having to face Boots. And then the winner of Stanionis and Ortiz will have to maybe defend their interim title, WBA interim title. That'll end up leaving your boy to fight either Rocha or Crawley. Spence is either going to say, I'm done with 154 pounds because it's not worth it, or he's going to be forced to fight Boots. So I'm going to pause there and say, at this stage, based off what we've seen so far, and I want you guys to consider resume as well, who is going to come out victorious in that fight if it does occur? Because I think that's where it's headed. And if you guys disagree that that's not where it's heading, by all means, let us know where you believe it's heading. What are your thoughts on that, Jay?
Oh, which one? I was reading.
Boots and Errol Spence potentially fighting, because that's the way it more than likely will play out. And if you see it playing out differently, then share that as well.
Woo, that'll be a hell of a fight. I don't know if they meet at 147 though. I have a feeling that probably might go at 154 because I think Spence might fight one more time at 147 and move up at that point in time, because I think those negotiations are not going to come through for him and Crawford. You know, regardless of who you want to blame for the shit, I don't think the shit's going to happen in 2023 or anything like that. Maybe they'll meet at 154 where neither one has a belt, you know, but Boots, damn. The thing with Boots, he has all the potential in the world. We haven't seen him tested. It's not because he doesn't want to be tested. He hasn't had a chance to get any good fights. We saw how Stanionis and Ortiz kind of went away from him, you know. So Boots fighting Spence would be a hell of a fight. Based off the experience, I'm still riding with Spence on that. But it'll be a hell of a fight because I just don't know what level Boots can go to. I see the potential, but I don't know if he can actually reach it.
We don't know yet because of the competition. It's the same thing that we said about Terence Crawford. I don't know how good Terence Crawford is because I haven't seen him in there with what I would deem as elite competition. So how do we know what Boots' Ennis is yet? And that's the reason why I said that the winner of Ortiz and Stanionis, I'm going to put above Boots, is because I think it's going to end up being Ortiz. And I think Ortiz has been in there with better competition than Boots, and therefore he's going to be above Boots. Now, I'm not saying that I think Ortiz is the better fighter. When I look at them, Boots is the better fighter. But when I start thinking about how I rank fighters, it's off of what you've done. And therefore, I cannot rank Boots ahead of Ortiz if Ortiz beats Stanionis.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Gill. Boots is not his mandatory. He's the number one. Why can't people understand that? He's not the mandatory. He's fighting when he wins the IBF interim title, because we think he's going to win it. He will then become the mandatory. But mandatory and being number one are not the same thing.
Yeah.
What else we got, man? Jay, how much more time you got, bro?
Probably about a good 10, 15, maybe.
I got you. I want to turn our attention to the comment section a little bit more. So I saw somebody in there mention something about Blueblood trying to find his way in the game. Here's another comment that I'm going to make on Blueblood. If you think about the Adrien Broner interview, where Broner kind of tried to imply that there was a possibility that Terence Crawford and Errol Spence could fight on BLK Prime, and he said something like, AB, you're letting the cat out of the bag, as though he knows some type of inside information. Number one, I think he has a business relationship with BLK Prime, but he presents himself in a way that would suggest he's actually some type of part owner in BLK Prime, which I don't believe is the case at all. I think Blue is trying to create a narrative, create a persona and a perception that he's now becoming some type of high roller in the game. And I don't believe that's the case at all. Knock to him. Do whatever it is that you want to do. Just be consistent in what you're saying and make sure that you don't have a conflict of interest, and don't perpetuate or present something that you're something that you're actually not.
Oh, so Adrien Broner said AB was just in the hospital recovering from alcohol poisoning?
I did not hear that. So who has Ivan Redcash? Anybody have Ivan Redcash in this fight?
Nah. That fight, the thing is with that AB, fight, man, there. Oh, go ahead. My bad.
Go ahead.
No, the thing is with that fight there is Ivan Redcash, who's over the hill, in my opinion. He lost his last fight to, was it Danny? Forgot who he lost his last fight to, but I know he lost his last fight, if I'm not mistaken. AB's issue, my problem with AB is not just, his antics outside the ring. I just want to he has kids. I want to be a good man. I want to be healthy and be there for those kids, most importantly. But the whole deal with AB is the fact that in the ring, he doesn't let his hands go. He's tough as hell. I give him that. But he's at 140, and to me, he's basically was fighting at a catchweight, usually at about 142, 144. Because he's not big enough to do 147, although he's heavy enough, but he's not big enough as far as the fight game to fight at 147. He's not making weight at 140. So that fight with him and Vatcroft, he's the headliner, and AB's going to sell the hell up the fight, but it's not going to be a fight I really want to see.
Hey, man, I've seen stranger things happen. AB, I don't know if you saw, I'm pretty sure you did see when they announced the fight. AB did not look like he was in shape to actually. He didn't look like he was at the frame that he needed to be in order to make the 100 and what is he going to fight at 140 pounds against? I would imagine.
It's supposedly 140, but
So he didn't look like he
Oh no, he's
was in the frame. Go ahead.
no, maybe it was a joke. Someone said AB is in the hospital giving birth. Now, I did say he looked like he about 4 or 5 months pregnant on the last thing, but
Rock, I cannot see him being in shape by February the way that he looked. You got to think about it, man. It's if he's fighting in February, that's about 8 to 9 weeks out, bro. So how is it
Rico
that
said
he's
AB
going to
was
get
looking
it?
like Bomac.
Yeah. How is it that he's going to get in good enough shape in order to be ready for a fight? And if he does, if he's able to lose that weight in the next 8 to 9 weeks, he's going to be weight drained. And again, we've seen stranger things happen in the sport of boxing. So AB just feels like somebody that's just waiting to get picked off.
Yeah. My thing with AB is just it's like if you had those initials AB, you're gonna be messing up outside of your ring, outside of the football field. You're gonna be making bad decisions out there. I just want AB to just get together. He took that mental break early this year because he was supposed to fight Figueroa early this year, and he pulled out of that. And just seeing him at Bud's fight, dude look like he about a good 185, 190. That's about
Yeah, he
40,
was
50
chunky.
pounds he got to shave off.
He was
And
chunky.
the holidays, I don't know if AB is disciplined enough, especially the holidays coming up, all that good eating. I don't know if he's good enough not to do that. So I don't
He
know.
doesn't seem to
I'm
have
just not
that level of
interested.
discipline.
And also, if he wins this fight, cool, but he's not deserving of a Regis Prograis fight.
Oh,
I
Regis
want
will take that
Regis.
fight Regis will take that fight because it's going to line his pocket. I wouldn't be surprised
Oh
if
yeah,
Regis signs the BLK Prime because, just the comments that he made after the fight, it seems like he's positioning himself in order to sign with them. So I don't know, but it would not surprise me if he's in the ring with Regis Prograis next. Hey guys, we got 310 people in the building. We got 229 likes. If you could, please smash that like button. It helps others find the content. Also, subscribe to the channel. You will find all types of content across the board. Spence, Thurman, Crawford, we got it all there. Tank, we comment on everything, man. Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a money grab for Regis. I mean, the fight will sell just because they both mouthpieces. They both gonna sell the fight.
It
That's
will
what I
sell.
mean. They'll sell the hell out of the fight. I don't know. I mean, we've only seen AB really get hurt and dropped against McDonough. That's the only one that dropped him.
Right.
So he's tough as hell, but he's been out of ring inactive for a while, and Regis got some power. Regis got some hella power. So I don't know if that's gonna end bad for AB or not.
Regis is gonna land on his cheeks all night long. Every time he turn around, he's gonna be smacking his fist gonna be smacking right against his cheeks.
Yeah, I mean, AB just tough as hell. That's the only thing. It'll be a real bad beating or it'll be a knockout.
Yeah, he doesn't open up. And it's not like, to me, AB doesn't have like tremendous defense or anything like that. I just feel like AB doesn't open up. He doesn't throw his hands. And so that's the reason why it seems like he doesn't get hit a lot.
Hey, Dre fight is bad. I'm trying not to go that route on AB, man. I killed AB before. I just want that man to get his life right, man. I just want him to concentrate on the food. That's it, not the drinking.
Hey, what is, I don't know, me high 78, pause, bro. No, man, not those kind of cheeks. His cheeks, man, his cheeks. Put hand, that's a saying that we say in Florida, man. When I was growing up, man, he got them hands put on his cheeks. That's what we talking about. His cheeks, bro. Come on now.
Man, someone said AB got the initials. He got the initials AB, but he ain't got no abs. Something like that.
Facts. Jay, anything else? I know you got to go here in a bit. We've been going for about an hour and a half now. Is there anything
y'all dirty?
else?
Y'all dirty in the chat, man. Y'all ain't right, man. Y'all ain't right.
Lockefeller.
The way they clowning.
He's not going to fulfill that contract. I totally agree with you. There's no way in hell he's going to fulfill that contract.
He ain't fought 3 fights since 2015.
Yeah, so, I mean, and I don't care how much he says he's dedicated to the sport right now. I don't, AB has shown. Listen, if you have discipline or if you have a lack of discipline, you always believe a person when they tell you who they are, right? And Jason, I just told you that I just mentioned something like that. T Ward, appreciate that, man. Thank you for the
Yeah, much
love.
respect.
Um, I've told you this in the past, man, and we just mentioned this here recently. When somebody shows you who they are, and I'm not going to say who that person is, but when someone shows you who they are, believe them, right? And so we've seen who AB is. AB is a fighter who's not disciplined. That's not who he is. We've seen it time and time again. How old is AB now? 33, 34, somewhere around there?
33.
Yeah, so he's not going to be any more disciplined than what he is. So I don't expect anything different than what we've seen from AB. He may get through one fight, but I'm doubtful of that at this point, the way he was looking if they fight in February. So, but to get through 2 or 3, I don't see it happening.
Oh man.
Peace, Rico. Hey, C. Dewberry, appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate that, man. Salute. Hey, is there anything else you wanna touch on, Jay, before we wrap this up?
Nah, man. We just appreciate the interaction with the chat, regardless of what side of the street that you're on. We appreciate that. As long as it's respectful, man, we can go back and forth about it. But I like to say that the end of the day, we all want to see one thing. We all want to see the best fights. We want to see the best fighting the best. We can be Team Spence, you could be Team Bud, Team AB, whatever, but we want to see the best fight the best. We've been robbed of the best not fighting the best because Bud and Spence didn't get the deal signed, regardless of who you want to blame for it. So we're the ones that's losing out on that.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say is, number one, subscribe to the Mic Check podcast. That is
great. Someone said AB stands for almost Bomac. I'm done.
Yep. So I want to say subscribe to the Mic Check podcast. Like I said, that's like a sister network to us. Please go over there and subscribe. One thing I want to make everybody aware of is that in the community, we're gonna do 2 things. Well, we want to do 2 things. You guys let us know if you guys are interested in this. We want to do basically end of year boxing awards. So let's call it the AM Sports Media Awards for things like Trainer of the Year, Fighter of the Year, Rookie of the Year, so forth and so on. So we want to add polls and then do a video on that. That's number one. And then Jason and I, we have an amazing time recording some of these things that we bring to you guys. And you would be amazed at some of the fuck ups that we make when we're doing it, because we freestyle everything we do. There's nothing written. So we're thinking about putting together a blooper reel and just wondering if you guys would be interested in seeing that. So we'll put that poll and you guys let us know if you're interested in seeing that. I want to thank all of you guys. The last couple of live streams that we've had some audio issues. I think, I spent 2 or 3 hours this weekend trying to figure out those audio issues. And I think I figured them out and we have them resolved. So I want to thank everybody for being very patient with us as we work through some of these challenges. So appreciate that. Again, to everyone that's donated to the channel, we appreciate it. Shout out to you guys for coming in and joining the channel. Shout out to everybody who has a different opinion. We've mentioned this in the past. We don't care what your opinion is. You can come in, you can say what you want to say, as long as you're respectful. I don't care if you come in and say we don't know what we're talking about. I don't care if you come in and say you guys are dumb and all this stuff. Just don't come in with trying to troll and shit like that. We don't like trolling. But if you got a genuine opinion about something that contradicts or is not aligned with our opinion, it's welcome, because some people change our minds sometime. I got my mind changed this past week on the Errol Spence versus Thurman fight. So those are my thoughts.
You got also got your mind changed on what Frank Martin said too.
No, the fuck I didn't. No, the fuck I didn't. I still feel the same way I fucking felt. That ain't gonna change. We've made some changes on the live stream. You guys probably see that. The layout is a little bit different. Again, we're trying to make things, we're trying to constantly improve. Again, feedback is welcome. Appreciate you guys. Jay, anything else you want to say?
No, salute to the chat. But I will say, want to address one thing. We're not jealous of any other podcast or any other channel.
Did somebody say that?
Yeah, someone said that we're jealous of Blue.
Ooh. Why would I be jealous of Blue?
Playground. This is the problem. Our own jealous of our own work. We're not jealous of Blue Blood. We don't agree with what he said.
Jay, these are the comments that make me want to do what I said that I feel like doing sometime. Because I really think guys don't really get it. I really don't think people really get what it is. Let me just be quiet. Let me be quiet.
I just want to address that real quick. But other than that, everyone talking about AB stands for about biscuits, almost broke.
I feel you. I feel you. All right, man. Well,
About
again,
bloated.
appreciate you guys. Please, what's the number? I don't know what that means. Again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being in the comment section. Again, we bring this to you every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We always bring it to you. It's always going to be either me or Jason or myself alone, or me and T, or T and Jason. Some combination thereof will bring you this channel and this chat. Be on the lookout for more content as we drop it this week. Until next time, this is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media. Salute. We are out.
Later.